Yosef is not leadership material. This week we begin one of the greatest sagas in the entirety of the Torah. One of the longest one is the story of Yosef, and as the musical version and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, but it's really the story of one person and their development into becoming a great leader that would lead its second in command, one of the greatest nations in the world, and help save his people, the Jewish or the Israelite people. But when we first meet Yosef, he's not really the kind of person you want in charge. First of all, he's got a big ego problem, and even though his dreams that the Parsha talks about where his brothers might bow down to him, there ultimately will be truth to that. That's not the point here. The point is that he doesn't recognize that dreams are symbolic. He doesn't ask his father to help him interpret it. He just says it as if it's facts. There's a lot of ego there that needs to be sublimated, pushed down. Also, he likes to tattletale on his brother, giving dibatam, telling bad reports about them. And in fact, Rashi brings a midrash that when the Torah says that Yosef, when he's a young boy, he's a little boy, being a tattletale, brings stories, the stories that he brings are quite awful. He claims, at least in this midrash, that his brothers are eating animals which haven't been properly shechted, that they're enslaving people, and that they're going around doing inappropriate physical relationships. And what's fascinating about that midrash is that then Rashi explains that each of those claims then turn around and midah keneged midah, measure for measure, are put upon Yosef. So when he is sold into slavery, and the way that his brothers trick their father Yaakov into thinking that Yosef is dead is they properly slaughter a goat, not eating it alive, but they slaughter the goat and put that blood on the coat. And then, of course, once Yosef is in the house of Potiphar, Potiphar's wife tries to have an inappropriate physical relationship with him. So all of these false claims that he made about his brother turn around back on him. But here's something really interesting. Despite the incredible fall, talk about the epic fall that Yosef brings upon himself, whether because of this midrash or his real ego that even his father points out and says, "What are these dreams that you have dreamed? Do you really expect us all to bow to you?" And points out there's a lot of nonsense there. Despite it, it says explicitly in the Torah, Hashem ito. Hashem is with him. Hashem is with Yosef every step of the way. And the significance here is that Hashem does not want to see Yosef fail or fall. He knows that Yosef needs to become a great leader. But in order for him to do that, he needs to learn some important lessons along the way. Humility, and that your actions have consequences. And only once he's gone through that and others does he recognize that his gift of dreams, which he needs to take with a grain of salt and humility, and he starts to. The Yosef that we meet in the jail and then on, when Paro and others say, "Wow, you've interpreted the dreams," his response is, "No, God interpreted the dreams. I'm just the conduit for it." That's the Yosef that is ready to be a leader, and ultimately he does become one. But he can't be that until he's had the hard knocks of life. Now, I'm not going to suggest that all of us need to suffer and be thrown in jail and slavery and seduced in order to grow into who we are become. But sometimes the challenges that we face in life are exactly that. They are opportunities for us to become better people. And again, I want to be very careful there, not to suggest that God causes suffering to make us better, to help refine us. And the rabbis do suggest that, by the way. But that's not the mainstream or the only suggestion they make. But what they do seem to agree upon is, look, whether a person is suffering because God has decided they need to, or it's just happening. And the Talmud does suggest that sometimes bad things simply happen. Sometimes a ladder just breaks and someone will fall and injure themselves. Regardless, once we are suffering, it's an opportunity to stop and say, I wonder if this suffering, this challenge is brought upon by something I did, which in Yosef's case, he did bring it upon. And in the case of our people, when we were exiled from the land, we did bring it on. Whether we know that or not, it's an opportunity to say, I wonder if I could be better. I wonder if there are opportunities for growth, and to think about the consequences of my actions. And I've said this before, imagine what this world would be like if people actually took responsibility for the consequences of their actions. And if we could do that, we wouldn't need to be thrown into a pit and sold into slavery. But the most important takeaway from this is that every challenge, whether again it's a punishment or it's just something that happens, it's an opportunity for us to grow and learn and think about, you know what? I haven't been generous enough. I haven't been kind enough. I haven't stopped to think about what my evil comments online, trolling, actually does to people, because it's easy to be anonymous. And that's a very common failure that people have these days. And they may never even see the consequences for it, which is why sometimes it's good to have a wake-up call. But regardless, whatever causes these challenges and whatever we decide to do with them, there's one thing that is always consistent. Hashem itanu. Hashem is with us every step of the way, because whether Hashem brought the challenges or not, Hashem does want to see us succeed. The whole goal of the Torah is to see us grow, to see us come closer to Hashem, to be happy and joyous before Hashem. That's the goal, not the challenges. They're just a tool, and it's our choice whether we pick them up and build ourselves, or we ignore them and continue to live our lives as they were before. So, what will you do with the challenges you face? Will you answer them or not? With that, I wish you all a Chanukah Sameach and Shabbat Shalom.